Hey, what's up, men? On today's episode, we are going to be talking about lust again and how to fight lust. We're going to be talking about King David and Bathsheba, a king that has an affair with a woman. If it can happen to a king, it can happen to me, it can happen to you. So how do we fight that? Stay tuned and let me teach you. Welcome to Pick a Fight. Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome to the Pick a Fight podcast. My name is Joe, and we're always sitting on four things. We're talking about leadership, lust, spirituality, and relationships, and we're talking about how we fight for those and how we fight against lust. We obviously don't want to fight for lust. We want that out of our lives. As my wife would say, you're fighting for purity, but that just doesn't sound as masculine. So I'm like, I can't say that in this. We're fighting against lust. We're going to knock lust the freak out. So we are talking about lust again today. I've done a talk before on David and Bathsheba. We're going to hit that story again. And what I want to talk about is affair proofing your marriage. And what that really starts with is always having an open conversation, no matter the cost. And let's say you're not married, okay? You're just a young man in your 20s, whatever. You can begin to affair proof your marriage today. What you have to do is you have to, instead of having the conversation like a husband should do with his spouse, you have to start having the conversation with a mentor, with a pastor, with a leader, with a friend. You have to start inviting in that accountability to hold yourself up and keep you safe, because so many times we think we're alone. Bro, let me just tell you, okay? Too many times we paint the picture that you are the only person that struggles with lust. Like, all of us struggle with lust. That's why it's one of the four things we have to fight against, because we all do. Like, for even the pastor that's like, oh, I've never struggled with lust. You know, I've never turned my eyes to a woman who might be trying to ruin my life. Like, you're a liar. Shut up. You know, like, you ain't Jesus. You know, like, I know we're striving to be like Jesus, but you ain't Jesus. Calm down. Okay, bro, you're a sinner just like me. You've lusted, you've committed adultery in your heart. Calm down. So all I'm doing is saying we're all on the same page. We're all working through this together. So let's dive in. I just talked about this. I just want to go a little deeper on it. In 2 Samuel chapter 11, this is when David just has an affair with Bathsheba. So he's in the wrong place. He's at his palace. He's supposed to be out at war. He sees a woman bathing, bites her over. I mean, like, that's kind of a no-brainer, right? Like, most of us, if we are the king and we're seeing a hot chick bathing, we're like, yeah, she should come over. You know, like, let's just be real on this podcast. But he wasn't protecting himself. He definitely wasn't thinking like a man after God's own heart at this time. You know, he was thinking with something else. And how many times do we do that? And that's the thing. Like, it can easily happen. Ends up sleeping with her, gets her pregnant. Then he goes on the extreme that he brings the husband back because she is married, and he tries to get the husband to sleep with his wife. And the husband is like super noble. It's like, oh, I'm not going to sleep with my wife because all my boys are out at war. It's not fair to them. I'm going to sleep outside. David even gets the dude drunk trying to get him to sleep. Like, if y'all have not read the Bible, you need to read the Bible. It's wild. So anyways, he still doesn't sleep with her. So what's David do? David sends him back to the war and to be set on the front line. And then when they go into battle, to draw every other soldier back. So this cat is killed. Like, bro, talk about trying to cover up your sin. Holy cow. But let us remember, this is also the same David that prophesied about the coming Messiah, and that God said, this is a man after my own heart. So I just want you to know, no matter where you're at in this lust journey, you are not too far gone, bro. Like, know that you're not too far gone. So anyways, we're going to jump into this. What led him to sin? Okay. That's a question we need to ask. What led him to this? He should have been at war. Like, he wasn't where he was supposed to be. When we are out of the way of our duty, we are in the way of temptation. Like, God has given us a purpose in life, and we're not walking in that purpose, we're going to pretty soon start walking into temptation. And so we have to have our eyes fixed. David might have been safe, quote unquote, from the war, but he was in more danger with temptation. You know what I mean? Like, you might be in more danger, you know, with the war, but holy cow, when you throw that temptation in there, like, it is terrifying. So we'll always be in a safe place when we are in God's plan. So I just want to ask you, bro, like, are you right now walking in God's plan, or are you walking in your plan? Because when you begin to walk in your plan, and I've been there, it says pride comes before the fall. You might think your plan is going to work and it's better than God's plan, but let me just promise you, bro, like, get into God's plan. And it might be harder, it might be longer, it might be stranger, it might be not the way that you envisioned it, but I'm telling you what, it's going to keep you safe from temptation. Not safe in general, right? Like, let's just be real here. When you read the Bible, all the disciples except John were martyred. Okay. So I'm not saying life is going to be a walk in the park, but I'm talking about your spirit, that lust that we are trying to fight against, that when you're in the right spot that God has you in, that temptation it's not going to take you down, because you're going to be walking in his plan. The second thing is he was being lazy, like he's at his crib late at night, looking around. Hello? Does this sound familiar? Late at night, you're bored out of your mind. So what do? You start scrolling on Instagram. You start looking on Facebook. Start looking on YouTube, right? You're not even at porn, right? You're like, I'm not going to porn. She's just in a bathing suit, I'm not looking at anything hardcore. It's just a music video, right? Like we start getting lazy with even the boundaries we put up for ourselves, and saying, I'm not going to give into certain things. And pretty soon we start scrolling, we start looking. And the thing is this is number 3. So number 2 is we get lazy. Number 3 is we have a wandering eye. Like, we have to keep our eyes fixed. The best way for me to kind of illustrate this is that you have to keep your eyes on the prize. Right? Like, so when you think of NFL players, when NFL teams, NBA teams, whatever it is, the reason that you see certain teams win the Super Bowl, win the NBA championship, win the World Series, the finals, the NBA finals, that bugs me when people say championship, because you could just say it for all of them. Like, they're specific names. Sorry, I'm weird. But when you see them winning, it's because those teams were so obsessed with keeping their eye on the prize, right? Like, so this year again, like, let's look at Tom Brady and the Bucks. It's like Tom went there, and he keeps his eye on the prize. I mean, even during Super Bowl week, I think it was the last 2 weeks maybe, that he had his kids and his wife leave because he wanted to be so focused on winning. Bro, he was doing that about football. How much do we need to do that about our spiritual life and against lust? Like, we need to not be lazy, and we need to not have a wandering eye. We need to keep our eye on the prize. We need to be disciplined, and we need accountability in our lives. Like, you need to grow in discipline. I need to grow in discipline. We are not born disciplined. We train ourselves to be disciplined. If you want to grow in discipline, I'm just gonna tell you this, because hey, if you've ever asked me to pray for you to be more disciplined, I'm just gonna be honest with you right now. It bugs me when people ask me to pray for them to be disciplined. So I'm like, bro, it ain't a prayer. You know what it is? It's an alarm clock. That's where your discipline's at. You want to start growing in discipline? Set your alarm for 5 a.m. and then get out of bed at 5 a.m. That's where your discipline starts. If it's again, looking at pornography, looking at pictures, whatever it is on your phone, on your computer, be disciplined and don't have your phone on past a certain time, or your computer, or keep it out of the bedroom. Get the TV out of the bedroom, whatever it is. Like, we have to start being like, one, we need accountability. We need people in our lives to be able to push us and ask the questions, but also hold yourself accountable. Like, your accountability partner don't live with you. You know what I mean? You don't need another mama. Like, you're a grown man. I'm a grown man. We need to start taking care of ourselves. I got to hold myself accountable. My wife doesn't wake me up. She's like, hey, it's time for you to go to the gym. Hey, it's time for you to read the Bible. Hey, it's time for you to pray. Hey, it's time for you to go to work. Like, she doesn't do that. I'm disciplined. I'm accountable. I do that. And it's the same thing. I got to do that when it comes to lust. I got to hold myself accountable and make sure that I'm not having a wandering eye. So sin escalates, right? Like, it's just true. Like, so he inquired, okay, about who she was after lust was conceived. Like, that's the thing. Like, sin escalates, guys. You can't just think it's just a look, okay? Because then we start going down this road. He summoned for her even when he found out that she was already married. Bro, I'm telling you, why do you think affairs happen? We still know women are already married, but we'll still flirt, still send the text, still send the snap. You know what I mean? Like, we'll still do these things. And then he has sex with her, ignoring her status. Listen, guys, we cannot ignore things. We have to bring them up. If you're feeling a temptation, a pull in a certain area, I'm telling you right now, you got to bring that to accountability. You got to bring it up to yourself, a pastor, a mentor, a leader, a boss, a friend, a spouse. You know what I mean? I mean, sometimes that's what's hard, right? When you start telling your wife that you're struggling with pornography or something. I'm not telling you not to do it, but I am saying if you can talk to men to help you with it first, because if you just go to her, man, when you start telling your wife that you're struggling with pornography, I just want you to know she's going to feel defeated. She's going to feel that she's not pretty enough. She's going to feel that she's not accepted, that she's not, I mean, all the things. It's like you're trying not to tell her it's even about her, right? Because it's not. You are so attracted to your wife. It's not that she isn't, you know, but she doesn't understand that because we're such visual creatures, and she'll think that she isn't good enough anymore. And we don't want them to feel that way. So I'm just want to encourage you guys, talk to somebody. David didn't have anyone he could talk to. He was the man, he was the king. And so he didn't reach out, which he should have, to Samuel, to another prophet, to one of the leaders in Israel. He had the people, but sometimes when we go higher up, we just think there's no one to talk to. Let me be honest. The only reason you think that is because you think that. Nobody has ever said that. Nobody has ever told you, well, now you got to keep this to yourself because you're the man. That's just not true. That's just not true. So we got to learn how to fight lust. I hope this was helpful for you guys today on the Pick a Fight podcast. And again, we're going to continue to battle lust. We're going to fight for our leadership. We're going to fight for our relationships, and we're going to fight for our spirituality. We'll see you next time right here on the Pick a Fight podcast.